Mic trigger. Mic lock. Finish recording. Mic lock. Button. Is on. Double tap to lock mic. Finish recording. Button. Mic lock. Button. Is on. Double tap.
Okay, so this is the adult Q&A. I'm not live streaming this. I'm very sorry because I'm absolutely buggered. So it's not going to be long, but it'll be long enough for me to kind of see. All right, I've got a little bit in my can, so let's get this shit over and done with. So Annex 130 says, what are your thoughts on freaking hell on I'm trying to think of the word to use this here. Inspirational porn. There you go. I didn't script it. I remember. Right. You know, people have tried to romanticize autistic people having seizures to the point where it's in the same field as pornography. Now, I know there's a lot of people getting off on certain hobbies and calling it porn. For example, food porn, whatever. You look on on Pinterest. But one of the genres that got off as like it was weird, was people having seizures. And hey, it's like fucking normal for people to enjoy that shit. In the internet world, you've got to understand. Now, me as an autistic, I think, why were people using that to educate people? A lot of family vloggers, even though they've got rid of it, the damage is done on their channels. And I'm sorry, the scars are already there on their channels. Even for the people who, it's just like, I've seen some of the the videos some of those channels have, and it's still subliminally there. It doesn't matter how many videos you remove. You know who I'm talking about. I don't even need to name you. I'm doing a video about you separately, but seriously, I haven't got enough breath to even waste on you. You know what I mean. But as an autistic, there's a lot of channels that are still, it's not just channels. See, TikTok is an absolute, I don't understand why. It's not entertaining. It's really not. And a meltdown is like a seizure. It's worse because you are detached. You are fighting communication. And the thing is, the more that people see this as entertaining, the more that people will see these people as attention seekers. And I'm telling the truth. Now, I did warn you, this is adult content. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to put a age rating on it. Just because it's not X-rated, but we're hitting some topics that I feel you have to be over 18. Unfortunately, I don't want under 18s listening to this. I'm sorry. I should have said that in the beginning, but you know, adult means adult. I'm not talking about penises and vaginas. Come on. That's for 15 and 16-year-olds, isn't it? You know, they can laugh at that freaking hell. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about hard-hitting content. Educational content. Which I couldn't cover on my other bit because yeah. But speaking on penises and vaginas, boys and girls, the education, you know, kids are getting taught sexual orientations. I'm not going to go on and on about this, right? But when I was at school, they pussyfooted around. And my parents pussyfooted around. I didn't understand. I wonder why, because you pussyfooted around it. Like, now I understand, like, what the fuck, you know, what's a penis? Like, I didn't understand the whole thing. Male and female. You know, I was a man and a woman. And my science teacher went ballistic. Because I went a man fish and a woman fish. And she went absolutely up the wall. So, you know, your parents pussyfooting around it. Then you got some people who are like, what needs to take a one step for mankind, so to speak. And then you've got other people who are just pussyfooting around it again. PSHE teachers pussyfoot around, you know, even the whole thing. You've got people on YouTube. You've got Lindsay Doe. You've got Hannah Witten. And they talk about these subjects properly. They don't pussyfoot around, but then again, they don't take a yard out of a mile. These people literally, I'm sorry, I've got autism, so you've got to excuse me, but hey, this is unscripted. Another thing that annoys me, you come to education, kids these days, I was shocked. My sister's a school nurse, and school nurses now, that's the wrong title in my opinion. School nurses now should be psychiatrists. Me and my friend Andy, imaginary friend Andy, who, do you want to be on the video, Andy? That's fine, you just drink your beer then. Speaking of beer, I'm going to fucking sip my... Yeah, let's get the throat lubricated a bit more. I'm not going to do loads of this, but... Yeah, school nurses. That title is, if you want my opinion, there's no... That's not a school nurse. You know, school nurses aren't there for if you've got a headache or a sore throat anymore. They're there for hard-hitting reasons. And I've got, it's like the old school nurses, if you had that sort of issue, they would bring people in, outsiders, because that wasn't their thing. But now they're making it their thing. Why? Is it the education system doesn't have enough money, and the money it does have, it throws in the bin? You know what I mean? Fucking the amount of education that's like just wasted. If you want my opinion. And it's like there are parents out there who are on drugs, and there's kids out there that are lured to gangs. Then the mental health. There is kids that have got mental health conditions. Suicide rate in kids is like terrible. Because again, you've got lazy parents who just allow their children to troll certain parts of the internet. Do you know, when I was a kid, I say 15, 16, when I got introduced to the internet, actually I was younger. I was about 8 or 9, 10. But when I knew what was out there, see, when we were kids, obviously we didn't have a accessible PC, but we weren't allowed on the internet on our own. Because, so you can imagine when you're at school and you're 15, 16, and you're searching. I remember my business unit teacher when I was 16, 17. She used to say to me, Stephen, I don't care what website you go on, but stay clear of message boards and chat rooms. Promise me you won't go near them. And I was like, okay, miss, that's fine. I used to read the message boards. The BBC ones were pretty cool. The Newsbeat ones. And I would learn a hell of a lot in just a short space of a moment. But, this is the thing. This day and age, kids, they've got the internet right there on their phones. And they, but it's like kids need to be internet wise these days. It's not just street wise, it's like internet wise, and it's very, very different. I tell people about the old chat rooms being on floppy disks, and some of the really dodgy ones which were out there, which were full of viruses. But I do remember the classic days of the internet where you would download a song and you would end up with a porn video. It didn't happen to me, but I knew people it did happen to. Or you would download a song and you would get the wrong song. Or you would download a film and you get it was all the age back then. So if you wanted a dodgy film, you had to get this song. So all my friends used to go on LimeWire to get this specific file. And it was like, it was the one thing that crashed LimeWire, this one video. And yeah, I never saw the video, but I knew people that did. And it's like, it was really bad. I think it was the Pamela Anderson sex tape, if memory serves right. There was another video surfacing doing the rounds, but I can't talk about that one, but I'm sure you'll know about it if not. It's the one that was doing the rounds on Pirate Bay. Yeah, that one. Yeah. So it was a lot. The internet was more dangerous to download stuff than it was to view and look at stuff. But people, the internet now, it's people are trying to sort of tread lightly. And that's why the internet has become so shit, because people are trying to tread lightly. They're trying to make sure they don't click on the wrong link. And how many times have you clicked on the wrong link and it sent you to somewhere you shouldn't be? I remember one time I was at college and I didn't click on it, but I got to this page on Google. I was only typing in about Reverb, and there was an advert for cock rings. I'm not joking. That was just. I didn't click on it, like I said, but I remember scrolling up. I thought, gosh, I've only typed in. I was only looking for spring reverb. But it was like, it made me chuckle thinking, wow, is that going to make my reverb better? I think it was reverb. I can't remember off the top of my hand. But, the internet was such an amazing time, 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Because it was just like, wow. That's all that needs to be said, basically. I think I think people need to understand that the internet is dangerous, and there's no forms of getting away from it. I've discussed it in plenty of places before. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, Timo loves, yeah, the underground being mainstream kind of makes sense. But what you got to remember is the underground is like it's having to change its ways. We can no longer use mainstream platforms to educate the mainstream. We're trying to bring the mainstream over to us because mainstream are literally in trouble. I mean, no, the mainstream media is just not safe at all. The mainstream is not safe. One iota. There's so many pedophiles out there. I'm just gonna say it right off the back. These pedophiles run the world, and they basically, the pedophiles, they run the world, and there's rich pedophiles that are basically there. I mean, read into what you will, but they've been doing it for years. They're pros, and the shit they do, the sick shit they do, is like, oh my gosh, you know. And the FBI is still running investigations on a lot of stuff. It's still ongoing. It's like you can't keep up with them. You know, these rings are huge. And we're not talking Hampstead case. However, the Hampstead case is very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Because basically, with the Hampstead case, it was ran. The people behind that, would you believe that, were crumbs. They were part of the Satanic Panic crowd. And the Satanic Panic crowd, I'm just gonna say this. I've said this in quite a few other videos, but I'm gonna say it right here. They just make me laugh. I mean, there's a lot of jokes, but then again, they were the more dangerous people than the real Satanists. You know, like Anton LaVey, right? Anton LaVey, even though there was stuff that went on in his covens you've got to remember how big Anton LaVey was. And even though I disagree with a lot of his teachings, he actually was pretty annoyed what people were doing with his teachings and everything. And it's like, well, no, this shouldn't happen. And the problem was, there was a lot of people that signed up to stuff saying they didn't. And that's where things got quite brutal. There might have been things that happened weren't meant to happen, or even if they did, they had to cover up to protect themselves, but it just happens. It happens in a lot of places. So, and that's what annoys me about the politics in churches and things, because we're not getting into that. But the Hampstead case was amazing because the actual people behind it were there was actually two people involved. Two people involved. The other people were just names that were reeled off. I mean, it's sad. It's sad what happened. But then again, it's hard to believe. But then again, we weren't there. We didn't know what went on. But what we do know is we know the guy who was alleged to be responsible wasn't that guy. So like I say, there's two people behind it, and it's come out, the whole Hampstead thing. It's not very clear in the actual video. They sort of they brought out a video sort of explaining it, kind of thing. And it's different people's testimonies. I think the mother's testimony was more clearer than anything. Because they were divorced and the kids went over to the father, and I'm not saying this guy was red and rosy, but I'm not saying this guy was evil. But obviously, they made it out it was him and it was someone else. Somebody who was involved with the school. But anyway, it's very interesting because there was 2 teachers and someone in the church. You see, this is the thing. It was connected. And that's how it was all happening. Now, the interesting part of it, this is all my opinion, by the way, now. The interesting part about it was, I didn't read all into it because it's very boring and very long. But I've heard so many testimonies on it to the point where I'm thinking, oh my goodness, you know, that's how poisonous the mainstream is. You know, and I mean poisonous. And I mean dangerous. Anyway, there is quite a lot of stuff that's coming out that's saying, oh, people are saying this has happened and that's happened. I mean, I'm 50-50, you know, with Jimmy Savile, Jimmy Savile. I'm not saying like he did stuff or didn't do stuff, but it's the thing that gets me with Jimmy Savile is there's only so many cases that we know about, and those people, when you think about it, honestly, they're from rich families. Savile wanted money. It's like, hold on, you know, I'll fix it for you if you do this for me, so to speak. It's like, bloody hell, you know what I mean? Those kids were the fortunate ones or unfortunate ones. And hey, if it happened, you know, bloody hell, it's like, it's 50-50, you know. And then those people are getting, you're not telling me they're getting their 5 minutes of fame every time they're on television. You know, oh, well, you know, yeah, he abused me, yeah. You're thinking, bloody hell. He was a creep, Jimmy Savile. No doubt of a lie. But why is it that so many people came forward at once, and then the ones that didn't come forward, or the ones that, you know, they met Jimmy Savile and nothing happened? Because at the time when it was all coming out, I was telling people Jimmy Savile did nothing. You're all lying. That's what I'd have loved to have said at the time, but I don't know. I just think that, you know, and I have met Jimmy Savile, and I think he's an absolute bastard. I think he's a Satanist. I think he's, you know, wanted money and fame and money and power. I mean, by golly, he had all that, didn't he? He had all 3 in 1. Anyway, I get a bit angry when talking about Savile, because those people who thought he was a god And so many, and when he was alive, I didn't think he was a god. It's like, why? The DJs looked up to him, and Jimmy Savile stole a lot of their skills. He stole a lot of their skills. He stole a lot of their, I mean, he was, there was a guy in America, a rock and roll DJ in America that did this thing where you fade the mix down and you talk. Now, Jimmy Savile had a name for it. I can't remember what it was called. And this rock and roll guy was doing it before him. But if you read the DJ handbook, it says that Jimmy Savile was the first to do it. And I've read somewhere else that this guy actually was the first to do it. He was a funk DJ. He used to do funk. And also, Jimmy Savile was also nicking a lot of people's mixes to build his own mixes. And that is true. So yeah. I don't know what else he stole. Jingles, whatever. Wouldn't surprise me. The guy was a complete freak. So it wouldn't surprise me at all. Also, what gets me angry is he wasn't happy with which positions people were in the charts. It's actually, that is, it's not just me that said that. There's quite a few people that have said it. Even the haters of Savile have said it. So, there you go. I'm not a lover of him, by the way. I think he's a complete liar. And hates Led Zeppelin. And wouldn't have them as number one when they had a number one, and lied about it. So yeah, like I say, it makes me angry. I'm talking about Savile, because he literally, he tried to, I have heard in places he stole Timothy Leary's lines, and he basically tried to publish a book, and it got shelved because there was a lot of lines that the same stuff that Timothy Leary had used. So I'm so glad that actually got shelved. I prefer Timothy Leary anyway. He's the original. Yeah, in what he said. Because one of the things he said was about how we can use psychic powers. I won't go into it now, but yeah. There was a video on it somewhere, but yeah. I mean, Timothy Leary is, it's like, wow, this guy knew how we can really use our mind. It's like, wow. But yeah. But yeah. There are some rumours that they're looking into Bloody hell. I am knackered. And I'm sick of this shit, to be honest. Sorry, that's me, my brain talking. Danielle Sykes. Do you think goths are sexy? Oh my god. Yeah. I think, but wait, I'll rephrase that. I think goths they have this, I think they have this, they carry the, female goths carry, there's something really cool side to them, but there's also this like, watch out for them kind of thing. I think they're cool. I mean, what I personally like about goths is they've got the style. They take from all different styles. They take from all different cultures. They take something that they're pissed off with and love it. That's what I find cool. How can you love something that you're pissed off with? That's what I find amazing. If they're pissed off with culture, I don't know. If they're pissed off with, crumbs. Like, if they were pissed off with, I don't know, if they were pissed off with some form of art, culture, or whatever, it's mainly art stuff. Like, a lot of goths got pissed off with anime, and so goths started making their own anime. What other stuff? It's like bubblegum pop music. People started getting pissed off with bubblegum pop music in the early 2000s. Then Evanescence came, like the most bubblegummy pop band you'll ever hear, with a gothic style. And it was like, wow, they were the best pop band of that time. I think Nightwish are better, but it's the whole thing. And it's like, wow. And it's like, you sugarcoat something that's so shitty and gritty. That's like, wow. That's what I love. But I would never, I think I would love to go out with a gothic girl because they've got a lot of views, which they've got, some awesome views. And also they some goths, proper goths, they can look after themselves pretty well. They like to be independent and so on and so forth. But they're just normal human beings. They're not these they haven't walked through the fire and the flames, and they haven't had stones and God knows spears thrown at them, whatever you want to. They haven't been thrown to the dungeons and back. Well, not in that sense anyway. They're just normal human beings. I think Terry Deary's been to the dungeons and back. Man, the stuff he writes, it's amazing. The guy is a legend. And if you're looking for a great rock song to write, read some Terry Deary stuff. It'll blow your mind. I mean, I don't think Terry Deary stuff's really meant for, that sort of thing. But it's like, wow. You know what I mean? No, I don't think anybody else would write that sort of thing. Terry Deary's awesome. That's all I'll say. Blue Cat's Wonder. Do you think that masturbation is bad and is a sin and is bad for autism? See, this is the thing. There is lots of autistic people in the community that are saying that masturbation is harmful because it's so addictive. Now, like anything, but then again, the problem with, masturbation is a really difficult one. I've had arguments with my parents about this. And this is a cool debate to have. Because if you masturbate less, now I understand if you don't want to masturbate, that's fine. There's no one forcing you to, but there is pros and cons to both. I think if you do it too much, this is my own opinion, then you're gonna lose the enjoyment, you're gonna lose the thrill and everything. And there's a lot to it, you know what I mean? Whereas you lose a lot of feeling, and you lose a lot of. It's like a drug. When you take it the first time, and it's like, wow. You take it again, it's not. The more time you hammer it, and it's the same, because if you're addicted to it, it's like you hammer it. I'm no doctor, but I'm talking like common sense. You know what I'm saying? And if you have a little break, if you just give yourself, right, okay, I'm not going to do this for 3-4 days. And trust me, it's like the 4 days, it's like the most amazing thing again. After 4 days, it's like, wow. A lot of people in the fitness industry will tell you that because you lose a lot of energy as well. So if you if you don't masturbate before a real hard gym session, you're gonna have loads of energy for your gym session. And boxers tend to hold their semen to, it's like they need it for their fights and shit. It all depends. But then again, you need to get, your body will rid of it anyway. It's like spitting, It's like your body needs rid of it. It's like bad bacteria. So it'll be rid of it any road. But just, it's a hard one. But if it helps, as long as you're in a private setting, you're not where everybody is, then this shouldn't be wrong. As long as you're in your bedroom and the door's shut, obviously, and your curtains are shut, common sense there. But I don't personally see it harmful. And also, if you have that special time, it's like, the time and the place, obviously. Bloody hell. I'll take a long time answering that question, but hey ho. It is what it is. What's the worst stimming behavior? There isn't. There is, there are stimming behaviors that can turn into self-harm. But, stuff like stabbing and gagging and, yeah. You know what I mean? But I mean, it's a weird one because I had a weird stimming, which was dangerous. Where I'd get the air from, say, the end of a pump, and I would put my finger over it. And my friend was like, "Stephen, don't do that." I was like, "Why?" "You're injecting air into yourself." All right, I wondered why it felt cool. But I just like the pressure. It was weird. I had nothing, it wasn't like I had any side effects from it or got high off it or anything. It was just putting my finger over the pump and putting air. It just felt freezing cold, to be honest. Because you're pushing the air out and it's like, why is the air that cold? I still can't understand why air inside pumps is cold. It's just, maybe someone could explain it to me. But, apart from that, there's no actual stim that's harmful, if you want to put it like that. It's not supposed to be harmful. There's eye poking, but bloody hell, That's another story. Yeah. I'm one of them, so yeah. And there's looking at screens, isn't there? Oh yeah, screens. Yeah, screens will give you square eyes. Yeah, there was a theory about the CRT screens come from years ago, but I think the newest screens are more worse because the newest screens are brighter. Yeah, the old screens were dimmer because they were coming through clear glass and they didn't go so bright. Or some of them did. But the ones I remember were like, I mean, kids now, they want to have their faces literally in the screen. But yeah, that'll be the world you'll ever know someday. Oh, man.
$12:58 a.m.
Woo, crumbs. Yeah, that'll be the only world they'll ever know. Well, we've gone quite deep, really. Yeah, you've gone from pedophiles to people, yeah, to video games, killing people. I don't know. Anyway. I mean, I'm just answering these questions, you know what I mean? You know. I mean, and I'm being totally freaking honest. Or as honest as I can be. I mean, I don't know. Phil Miniris, you really think that metal can murder people? You didn't mention it at all in your iceberg videos. Metal does not kill. There we go. And I have done it in my iceberg explain. It's not even out yet. I said one of the videos, I need to find it. I don't think music or art can, and people, only people that do copy things in video games and art and film are dumb. There you go. That answers your question. Yeah, because like the Manhunt one, and there was like, yeah, Manhunt and Grand Theft Auto, where people Like, why would you? You know, it's like they use that as an excuse. I think, in my mind, it's like, oh, you know, it's like, oh yeah, I shot a few cars on the street because we saw it in a game and we thought it was cool. That to me sounds like a dumb excuse. But the media, wow, that would have the story. You know, oh wow, these kids, you know, they saw it in Grand Theft Auto. Wow. You know, parents, wow. You know, that's just the media for you, and it's the wrong. You know, but of course, I mean, this is the thing. I was taught properly as a child. I remember, you know, when the PlayStation came out, and there was a lot of games out there, which we were seeing, playing. They were on demo discs. They were everywhere. You know, you'd even see them in magazines. Games getting harsh and films getting harsh. And that was the 90s. And I remember my real dad sitting me down and saying to me, you know, Stephen, if you want to play those games, that's all fine, but you mustn't go out and do it in real life. Because what's in a game won't kill you or hurt anybody. But what's, you know, if you do it out there. And we had that conversation. It was a real healthy piece of advice for a parent to give at that time. And I think should be something that parents give. I know, it worries me of what, you know, obviously, I can't tell my nephew, like, what they can play and what they can't play, but Grand Theft Auto, you know, my nephews won't understand. So I wouldn't want them playing Grand Theft Auto, but I think if you have like real light-minded children, you sit them down and say, look, what, you know, I don't mind you playing the game, I ain't got no problem. But just remember, it stays in the game. You know, that's the sort of conversation you've got to have with you know, with your kids. You sit them down, you know what I mean? You know, with books and films. And that's why people don't understand. I would never copy what's in a game or in a film. It's fiction and it should stay there. You know, and even in music, you know, people say, oh, your music, you know, metal music, for example, it's like, yeah, murder music. It's absolute bullshit. A lot of it. And there's no such thing as a hidden message. That, again, is an excuse. Judas Priest said it outright. They said, we never meant that to happen. But the record label said otherwise. Anyway, and that's what annoys me. But as a parent, you've really got to step up the plate and say, hey, kids, you know, what you see on TV, what you read in a book, your fictional book, you know, it's not going to happen in real life. It won't hurt you what you read in a book. You know, video games, you control that, but again, that stays there. You do not copy it. It's a very, you know, it's when you're a parent, you've got to step up to the plate and do that stuff. It's the stuff you've got to say. Yeah. I know there'll be parents probably watching. So, it's the advice you got to give them. Whether you choose and let them is another thing, but still have that conversation. Because they're going to stumble up on stuff. You know, like I said before, they're going to stumble on more stuff now than they ever used to. That's just the world today. And kids are so clued up. It's scary. You know what I'm saying? It's a scary world we're in. Right, 2 more questions, then we'll go to bed. What should you do if autistic people have a fetish with feces? Well, it's a problem in our community. That's all I'll say. I can't speak for other people. I've had issues growing up with the toilet because, looking back, nerves. And I had great toilet training growing up. But it's the how it felt, There's a lot of that with kids. And it's a sensory thing. But if it's an autistic and it carries on into the teenage, its support networks need to be there. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm with a lot of people on that because even to this day, I have a few issues of my own. They're not major, but still, it's got to be talked about. Anyway, I want to move on and talk about something different. Yeah. I think that this is a bit of a cure for me, Should have been an early night, but I promised you guys this. It was going to be a second live, but I did that first live and I'm re-uploading that. So yeah, This has been a bit of a, I say X-rated live, but it's explicit live, but more explicit as in we've talked about things that I think need talking about. You know, we've talked about stuff that I think that, you know, it's slightly taboo subject, but I don't know. Why? Why taboo? You know. I mean, alcohol and autism, there's a lot of autistics coming out on YouTube, you know, stating the advice that alcohol does kill your brain cells off, but also it kills your thoughts off. So you got to be wary of that. But I'm trying to, you know, medicate my cold with it. Realistically, you know, it's like where you are with things. And I think, you know, alcohol just eliminates things. And I can't think, you know, for me, it's difficult to hold hold on to things. I think that's the thing, you know, but then again, I so like to hold on to so much. And I think with alcohol, you've just got to let go. Bloody hell. You know, I think that I'm not an alcoholic, but I like a can of beer. And not feeling too good still, you know, getting better. You hammer in the beer, whatever. You know, put a beer in your hand. Yeah, but I thought tonight, you know, would be special. But my alcohol intake has probably risen over the months. I mean, this year, I could do with a vat of freaking hell. This year's just been a shit year. Write-off, you know, it's not been an absolute write-off, but it's just been to the point where that's another video really, but yeah. You don't think people should shoot up drugs or... Oh, fuck no. I mean, drugs are drugs. You know. Alcohol is a drug. You know, alcohol is... But it's weird because if you were to drink pure alcohol, you'd be dead. Oh, man. This is like the goths again. I don't know. You have these conversations and it's like, you know, well, death is something, and me and Mummy were talking about this. People don't talk about death. You know, our culture, especially here in England, we're taught to fear death, you know, but my faith and my being a neon hippie and also being, slightly reborn to the faith of being a Christian is death. Why? I was asking myself that question. You're a neon hippie and you're fearing death. Like, death is like, you can wonder, you fully understand the realm you're walking into. You've planted the future. You've planted this kind of, world that you want to walk into, so to speak. And heaven's so near to this earth. We could touch it if we wanted. It says that in the Bible. It really does. And I knew that when I was a child. And it's like, why do I not know that as an adult? We know where heaven is. I sound like those preachers. Hey, we're going to heaven. You gotta know where heaven is if you're gonna be saved. But in all seriousness, honest to gosh, those preachers do my brains in. They don't know what they're talking about. And it's like, oh, doomsday's coming. The Antichrist. And you're thinking, those people, they would not know the Antichrist if they tripped up over him. I mean, we don't know who we've got a good idea that the Antichrist, we've got a good idea. But this is how I think the true Christians will not know what the Antichrist looks like. And I hope, because that's how we'll get saved if we don't know. But even the people who don't believe, they won't know either. And I know that because I've spoke to non-believers. And you get them onto the Antichrist. And it's like, do you know what the Antichrist is going to look like? And when they say no, it's like, wow. Yeah, we're on the same page here. It's great. It's a great question. That one of the great questions. Some people say, oh, yeah, the Antichrist will be a Nazi. You're thinking, loads of Nazis. There's a leader or whatever. Some people say, oh, the Antichrist will have long hair. Yeah. I do love what people think. That's God's honest truth. Anyway. Fluffy bunny
1:20 a.m.
and all of that.
Sleep button. At 0877. PQRS 7. PQRS 8. TUV.
Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum.
Boss mic trigger. Mic lock. Finish recording.